Good afternoon, friends. Today, let us understand about groundwater recharging to recharge the dried and the depleting borewells. In India, though we get about 1170 mm of rainfall, still the water table is falling at very drastic level. They say that the water table in many of the places is falling as high as 1 meter per year. So this can be a disaster. In Bangalore, let's just take example of Bangalore. Here, the water table has fallen as deep as about more than 1500 to 1700 feet deep. If we drill about 10 borewells in Bangalore, 6 borewells get failed during the drilling stage only. In the 4 borewells where we get water, in that 2 dry up within 1 year. All this is happening in a very bad state, wherein we are finding it very difficult to sustain the agriculture because of the depletion of the groundwater. This fall in the water table has happened just in 30 to 35 years. Whole of this borewellikarana, so drilling borewell started in the late 60s or the initial stage of the 70s. In the last 35 to 40 years, we have drilled as many as millions of borewells throughout the country. If we take example of a small city of Bangalore, we have drilled about more than about 2 lakh borewells here. If we take whole state of Karnataka, it is more than 22 lakh borewells, which are authorized borewell. There may be many or the same number of unauthorized borewells also. If that is the state at which we are drilling the borewell, how will we find the water? In India, more than 65% of the water requirement is met by groundwater today. In industrial use or in agriculture use and many of your drinking water needs, we have been using the groundwater. But with the rate of the groundwater falling, with 1 meter every year, the days are not far where we will find zero water in the ground. Why is that the groundwater not getting recharged? There are 2 or 3 main reasons. One is, if you have seen these days, everywhere we are trying to cover the surface. We are either lying the tar on it or we are putting the paver blocks. So we are not leaving any place for the water to percolate. Earlier we would have seen in our school days, all the school fields and all were open. Today, either we pave them. If you go to any of your children's school today, you will find that either we find that all the playgrounds are paved, or we will find that we have put that synthetic lawns and all, which doesn't allow the water to percolate. So the water table is falling. Other reasons is what has happened is, because of the climatic changes, though we get average annual rainfall, if you take in last 40 years, the rainfall has not come down. But because of the climatic changes, global warming and the effects of the global warming, the intensity of the rainfall has changed. Whatever we used to get in 24 hours earlier, today we get it in 1 hour. So when we get a heavy rainfall in a short span of time, the percolation will not happen and the water will run off. That is also one of the major reasons why the water percolation is not happening. And people have forgotten to recharge. Earlier, everywhere we had lot of lakes and all. If you take example of Bangalore, Bangalore was called a city of lakes. We had about 1000 lakes. Today we have left with hardly 141 lakes. We have closed all the lakes and turned them into commercial complexes. We have turned them into bus stands, railway stations, major playgrounds and stadiums and all. We thought that lakes are not very important for that, but lakes play a very vital role in recharging the groundwater. All this water, wherever there was low-lying areas in the cities, there were lakes. The water from everywhere used to go and flow to these lakes and used to get percolated there. But now with the closing of the lakes, the water percolation has come down. And one more reason, as I told you earlier, as we have paved each and every area, if you go out and see, we don't find any open area for the water to percolate at all. That is one of the reasons the water table is falling very drastically. One more reason why the water table is falling very drastically is our recharging methodology, what we are using pan-India. In pan-India, what we say, everywhere if you go, they say just make a pit and leave the water will percolate. This will not happen, because for the scientific reason, if you take topmost, we have got clay mix soil, then we have got a sheet rock. So if you are just making a pit and leaving the water will not percolate to the deeper aquifers from where we are drawing. If we had any open wells, if we had recharged the water like this, we just by making a pit of 10 to 15 feet and then allowing the water to percolate, and if we had open wells, that would have recharged the open wells, but not the deeper aquifers. That is the reason how these borewells have been failing and the depleting very drastically. For example, to tell you how these pits don't work, we have got many lakes in and around our place. But when we these lakes are about more than 20 to 30 feet deep, and there is water 365 days. These are far deeper than our pits. If the water would have percolated, if we had dug a borewell next to the lakes, we should have found 5 inches of water. But for example, in our Sankey tank area, in the walking track of the Sankey tank, which has got water for 365 days, the borewells have dried up. And this is the same scenario everywhere. Lakes next, borewells with dug next to the lakes dry up. They don't yield much desired water. That clearly means to say that even if you just store the water in the subsurface, even at the depth of 20 to 30 feet, the water will not percolate. So what we have to do scientifically to recharge? Either to recharge the borewell, if we are using roof water, we can just collect the roof water, filter through a very good filtration system, and then you can directly recharge into the borewell, because roof water is pretty clean and it will not have any contamination or soil mixed into it. So silt up of the borewell will not happen. So what we can do is, after the filtration, we can leave the water directly into the borewell, so the borewells get recharged. Only if it is rooftop. Otherwise, we cannot leave the water from the surface running water into the borewells. This is because because the water will be muddy, and we cannot remove all the mud, so that it will fill up the borewell and close the water sources. One. Second is, we don't know the source of the water. The water which is coming in the surface may be contaminated, so leaving the water into the aquifer is always dangerous. We may contaminate the whole aquifer. So what is the next best methodology to recharge the borewell? Today I will introduce to you first of its kind innovative recharging methodology, wherein what we do is recharge the borewell, but we don't recharge the borewell directly. If you see here, it's just a model to show you how the things are there. This is a borewell. So what we do is, we don't recharge the water flowing from the surface to the borewell, but we leave the water next to the borewell. We drill up one more borewell. Here you can see exactly what we can do. I can explain you here. What we do is, next to the existing borewell, we drill one more borewell to the first permeable zone. Before doing any of the recharging, we do one vertical electric sounding. In this vertical electric sounding, we will find out where is the first permeable zone, which may be about 140, 150. So what we do is, we bypass this overburden, which is non-permeable, and bypass the rock strata and reach to the first permeable zone, which has got sandy loam soil or fissures in the rocks or the cracks. So that zone we find out, and then what we do is, about 15 to 20 feet away from the borewell, after the geophysical survey, what we do is, we drill up a borewell up to the first permeable zone. We drill up about 8.5 inches borewell to the first permeable zone. We don't go to the aquifer. I would just like to clarify once again, we don't go to the aquifer, but we go to the first permeable zone. Here what we do is, after drilling 8.5 inches borewell, we insert one zigzag perforated high density polyethylene pipe. You can see here the pipes, which is high density polyethylene pipe, which are zigzag perforated. You can see in this picture. This kind of 5 inches pipe is inserted in 8.5 inches borewell. Before inserting the pipe, what we do is, we connect one V-wire screen. This is a special component, V-wire screen, which is made up of SS304. If you see externally, it is totally flat. But internally, if you see, you can see here, internally it is V-shaped. So what happens is, this special components doesn't allow any silt to enter inside or sand particles to enter inside, but will allow large quantity of the water to get inside the borewell. Because of its wide opening, you can see it is totally open. you know, it's a totally open this one, and but externally it is flat and internally it is V shaped. Because of this formation of this V wire screen, it will not allow any of the silt to enter. So what we do is, when you are inserting the pipe, we fix a V wire screen at the bottom. So this pipe is inserted inside, and what we do is, with the gap in between the pipe and the drilled bore, because there is a gap, because we have inserted in 8.5 inches, we have inserted only 5 inches pipe. So once the pipe is inserted, we fill this surrounding of that pipe with 10 mm gravel stones. So this gravel, filling of the gravel stone will help us, so that not to allow any of the sand or the mud to cave into the pipe, and it will just facilitate the water entry of the water or exit of the water from the pipe. So once this is done, what we do is, we make a well of about 15 feet surrounding this pipe. When the well is completed, we insert reinforced cement concrete rings, one above the other, to about 15 to 18 feet depending upon the soil land conditions. Once it is inserted, then we insert a perforated slab over it. Once the slab is inserted, what we do is, we cut the pipe which would have been inserted in here, and insert one more V wire screen at the bottom of the well. So this will be the entry point of the water, and the one more screen at the bottom is the exit point of the rainwater. Once this V wire screen is inserted to the screen, there is an end cap which is fixed to the screen, so that the water from the top should not go, only the water should enter from the sides of the screen. Once this is completed, this well is left totally completely empty, because this acts as a storage tank, and then because of its height, water column is created. So when the water gets filled into it, it creates that kind of water column, so that it can send the water inside with the pressure. When you measure the water pressure here, you can find, according to the depth, you will find about 3 to 6 bar pressure at the bottom. So with the pressure, the water can enter into the ground. It will open up the dry joints and fractures in the ground also. So after the completion of the installation here, what we do is, as I said, once the slab is put on the slab, we put the filtration media. What we do is, first we put 40 mm crust stone. On the 40 mm crust stone, we put wood burn charcoal. On the wood burn charcoal, we put 20 mm crust stone, and then we put activated carbon on this. On that, we put gravel and porous sand. So this acts as a fortified filtration media. To this filtration media, what we do is, away from this, in the source of the water, from where the water is coming, we make one more silt trap. So once we do a silt trap which is about 10 feet in the depth, so we allow all the water from all the flowing areas towards the silt trap. In the silt trap, what we do is, we put one horizontal screen like this. You can see here, this is a horizontal screen which is put into the silt trap. Once we put it, horizontal screen is adopted here, because so that it can avoid the floating particles and to avoid the choking of the main filtration unit. So once the water enters the filtration unit, by the siphoning effect, the water goes down and comes up. And when the water goes down and comes up, the heavier particles and the mud particles all settles down, and only the clean water comes here. And whatever the floating material is, is stopped by the horizontal screen, and then the clean water comes to the filtration media. Again, the water gets filtered through the filtration media. Then the water comes into the lower well, which is empty. As the water column rises here, all this water will create the water column, and this water enters into the deeper aquifer. Once this water enters into the deeper aquifer, thereafter it gets filtered through the earth crust and then reaches the total aquifer. We are just leaving the water to the first permeable zone. Thereafter, as the water gets filtered through the earth crust, because as you know that 1 meter by 1 meter of earth crust, compressed earth crust is the best filter in the world. No other filter can match that kind of filtration unit. So even if there is any contaminant which is there in the water, there may be any soluble contaminants also, but because we are leaving the water into the first permeable zone and not to the aquifer, here we find the first permeable zone at 230 to 240 feet. So we are leaving the water at only 200 to 230 feet only, not to the aquifer. So thereafter it has got about more than 1200 feet of earth where it can get percolated and then reach the aquifer from where the water can. We have installed more than 14,700 of such injection wells throughout the country. We have seen that even the dried borewells have been rejuvenated, and because of this the quality of the water has also improved, because when we are leaving the rainwater, which is the purest form of water, and after filtration when it goes and mixes with the water, because as we go deeper and deeper the quality of the water deteriorates. So when we are adding the fresh water into the borewells, even the quality of the water improves and the quantity of the water also improves. This has been very proven, this one, and we have now recently found that this technology is being also used in the to avoid the water logging. Generally recently we did about 3 injection wells in the underpasses of the Bangalore, wherein after every rainfall the huge water used to be stagnant there, which they were using heavy discharge pumps to pump out the water. So what we did was we installed these kind of V-wire injection wells in the underpasses only, so that whenever there is a rainfall, all this water which comes here, then we have installed a grease trap before the water goes to the silt trap. A grease trap is installed, the water goes to the silt trap, and then it goes to the main injection well. It gets filtered through all the fortified filtration media with activated carbon, charcoal and all. Then the water is led to the first permeable zone. So the water which would have otherwise caused the water logging, and it would have been a distraction for movement of the people, especially for the two-wheelers, and now there is not even a single drop of water that gets stagnant over there. So this has helped, even in the water logging areas. We have installed such kind of injection wells in Ahmedabad also, and seen that the water logging is not happening in the National Law College of Ahmedabad also, and many of the municipal areas where there were a lot of water logging, it has been installed, and as I said, in the underpasses it has been installed, and many of the water logging areas also. So it acts as a two-way, this one, wherein it avoids the water logging also, and then it recharges the groundwater also. So what we suggest is the surface water can be used for recharging of the groundwater like this if we install number of injection wells. So we avoid the water water logging also, and then we recharge the groundwater also. It is very much needed today, because the water table is falling at a drastic level. If we don't intervene and adopt these kind of innovative technologies, the days are not far where we don't find any water in the ground, or we'll have to go. Whenever I speak, I tell if we go further deeper, we'll find oil but not water, because we have already reached about more than 1,800 to 2,000 feet. But jokes being apart, but it is a very sorry state of affairs. We have to all take up this and recharge the groundwater. I always tell that each and every borewell has to be metered, so that we know what is the amount of the water we are drawing. Once we know what is the amount of the water we are drawing, we can always recharge the same amount. Because we don't know, because we are just continuously withdrawing the water and not recharging, we are not knowing the value of it. People have thought that earth is producing water, so if you drill the borewell, that is the end of it, borewell will not dry up. But many of my friends have observed these days, though in the rainy season also a lot of borewells are drying up. So we have to take up these kind of recharging structures, see that the water is not going out. We have to recharge, filter the water. We have to take care that whatever the water we are living is pretty clean. If the surface water which is coming is not very clean, what we can do is the inlet of the silt trap, we can keep it at least 1 or 2 inches above the ground. So what happens is, whenever there is a first rainfall, all this water will go. Only when there is a heavy rainfall, the water will come. So during the first rainfall, all the dust and debris would have been washed, so the contamination would have gone, and only the fresh water, because when there is heavy rainfall, in 5 or 10 mm rainfall will go, and then only the fresh rainfall will come. So friends, thank you so much. If you have got any questions, you can please call 94481 30524. We'll try to answer your questions. Thank you so much.